Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Also, I'd like to just first thank Kathy, Sabine, the entire team, all of the panelists up here, Isabel. I really feel like as one of the young folks in the room, I am truly walking in you all's shoes, so thank you for providing the space and platform to do that. I entered the conversation wearing two hats, excluding the one that I have on my head right now. The first is from the art world as a producer, creating works of art that challenge the individual to think about their role in the larger world and how they can lead to their own change. And the second, a hat as a community organizer, understanding the collective power of people and how we can come together and create change. And with that, I believe that art is at the tipping point for all social change. Think about all of the movements that have happened here in America and where artists fit into the picture, either through song, through dance, through the visions that we create. So today, the project that I'm going to share about really came out of a need to respond to a movement for social change. And it really came after the killing of both Trayvon Martin as well as Mike Brown, and how artists needed to respond in the moment. So we started off with a question. What does a just society look like? All of the creatives and producers on our team sat and interrogated that question. What does a just society look like? Who should respond to that? What should our process be? Can we create an intentional and thoughtful process that can create solutions to respond to that question using art, culture, and creativity? So today I'm going to present about a little project called Manifest Justice. It was a pop-up art exhibition that happened in South LA last May. It was a community convening, and it's an event series that worked to answer that question, or worked to provide a platform for other people to answer the question of what does a just society look like. Working on this project, we have four core values that we worked around. The first being justice, which kind of grounded everything that happened, a part of the project. The second is human rights, and how human rights as an issue intersects with all of the other societal issues that we face on a day-to-day basis. Power, how can we provide the artist power? I share this with folks all the time, that you can give an artist a paintbrush, a musician, lyrics, a dancer, choreography, and they can say and do what a politician can't. They can say and do what oftentimes educators can't, what oftentimes parents can't. So how can we give the power of this conversation over to the artist in order to respond effectively? And then lastly, action. Once I have this experience, what is my call to action to go out and do something? So using those four values, this project was done in partnership with Art for Amnesty, a program of Amnesty International fighting toward human rights, as well as the folks here at the California Endowment and their initiative called Sons and Brothers. And then I have to pay props to the great and amazing creative and producing team that was not my doing, but I have to give honor to Yossi Sargent and Nikki Williams of Task Force PR, Mike De La Rocha, who organizes with his company called Revolve Impact, Wyatt Kloss, Big Bowl of Ideas, and Evangeline Reyes here at the Endowment. But together, we brought together 150 visual artists to create over 250 works in response to the ideals of justice. And it intersected across issues. So we saw works of art around health, around the environment, around education, so on and so forth. So I'm going to share some of those works of art with you today. This is by Aaron Sanders. This is probably one of the first. While I do this, show of hands, who in the room was able to go to Manifest Justice? Oh, I see 1, 2, 3 people. Great. So you have to tell the people at your tables how your experience was. This is one of the first pieces of art that just basically says, in order to get to justice, it takes the folks in this room. We just need us. This is a work by Jerry Lawrence. It's actually a community project. If I could zoom in, there are several 3x5 photos of folks in hoodies from all over South LA coming together to collectively, through their art, share a response to that particular moment in time. In partnership with the Center for Political Graphics, the political poster is one of the greatest examples of how art and activism immediately intersect. So we had over 50 posters from all different social movements here in the US and abroad, allowing folks to see how that intersection starts even with the political poster. This is by Jordan Weber, who goes by Flux, out of the Midwest. That is an actual police car from Ferguson. And installed within that police car is a garden. And Jordan reflects that it's a commentary on how police and community should be one and the same. And if you were there, probably the first couple of days, you see these things that are on top of the hood, those are tomatoes. So he provided participants tomatoes to take and either throw at the police car in protest or take and to plant inside of the police car as we work toward moving toward a more just society. This was featured in the LA Times by Joseph DeLapp, The Crying Statue of Liberty, commentary around immigration. Lady Liberty was a gift to the United States, and there are folks who are trying to access our country just like Lady Liberty, and they don't have the same access and opportunity that she once had. The infamous Fabian Rodriguez was a part of the exhibition, working with Culture Clash, again, intersecting art and activism together. Patrick Martinez. And then I'm gonna stop here because we as a team curated specific moments throughout the exhibition in order to drive specific moments home. And so if you could imagine this wall behind us filled with 22 orange jumpsuits, and you can't see it, but to the right, there's one cap and gown. And above the installation, there's a caption that says, since 1980, the state of California has built 22 prisons and only one UC school. We wanted to provide a visual opportunity for folks to see what does a just society look like. Oh, yes. So just to give you a little bit of background of how we got to Manifest Justice, it's a part of a larger series of projects toward projects of art for social change. The first was Manifest Hope after the 2000 inauguration of President Barack Obama. I know folks probably in the room remember the Shepherd Ferry Hope poster that floated around. That was lifted out of the Manifest Hope exhibition. We then went on and did Reform School in New York, which was a commentary on the inequity of public school education, particularly for communities of color. And it happened in an old, abandoned public school using art to highlight what those issues are for those particular communities. And then lastly, a part of Manifest Equality, which happened here in Los Angeles, giving artists a platform to talk about Proposition 8 here in the state. So collectively, we had over 60 local, state, and national community partners that participated in Manifest Justice. We knew that we couldn't do it alone. And so we started, one, with the folks on the ground in South LA, and then expanded that out in order to really share and be strategic about the resources that we had access to. All right, so I think three ways throughout this experience that the ownership went from the artists and the artwork and went to the participants who were participating. In the first were the series of events and programs that we curated around the works of art. So the works of art were the starting place. We lifted up some of those issues, health, education, and we had probably over 35 different ways people could engage in conversation. From art making workshops to film screenings to a community garden right outside where people could plant and participate actively around sustainability and issues of the environment. Letter writing campaigns. All the various ways that the art inspired you to want to do something, we then provided a platform for you to go out and engage with that work of art or create your own form of action around the issues that you care about really deeply. The second form of transition is that the work didn't stay within the four walls that we were in. If you hashtag Manifest Justice, there was a large conversation happening online, and there's over 5,700 posts in regards to this project, and thinking about the power of an image and how that can help lead to social change. And then lastly, I had a group of about 500 middle schoolers in the space one day. And I had them go around the exhibition, and I asked the question, what piece of art is still sticking with you? And then every time I had students in the space, they pointed out this one particular piece. It was another installation that our team did. And if you look at it, it's part prison cell, part classroom with the stat, in partnership with the Do the Math campaign that the California Endowment has, that the state of California currently invests about $62,000 a year to keep a prisoner in prison, and only $9,100 to keep a student in public school. So to have a 6th and 7th grader stand up and say, hey, something's not right here, using art, I really believe the reins were handed over, and they now have an opportunity to challenge those systems and challenge the practices that allow those numbers to be the same, to be the way that they are. So we started with a question. What does a just society look like? So as you go back to your home organizations and the folks that you work with, what is the question that you're trying to answer? And how can art, how can culture, how can creativity respond to that question in a very intentional way? This is how we did it. I'm sure there are many, many other ways to do it. But art plus culture plus creativity can really be a pathway to creating social change. Thank you all.